All right, welcome team. Here we go. And love it if everybody could, as they're coming on board, could type hello so that we know you're there and everyone else who's here knows you're there. And here we go. Always starting by showing who had over 1,000 in group volume in October. Welcome, David. David's one of the very new people on the team, as you all know, so I want to say hi. And people that had sponsoring, which is how we build, right? It's all about sponsoring. We're going to talk about that tonight also. For October and November, sponsoring is how you build your business. I'm going to talk about some of the numbers tonight. It's reality thinking. We're going to dig deep a little bit into the 5 success practices that Jennifer Glacken presented on last Wednesday night's call from home office for leader call for the month of November. We have an incentive going, and so does Shackley. If you know how this thing works, the preferred members and the qualified distributors, if you sponsor 3 preferred members and you sponsor 3 qualified distributors, what happens is these little circles in your Shackley back office or your member center start filling up. And when both of them are full completely, that would be called a success cycle. And yeah, you'll earn $325 in cash bonuses when you fill those 6 circles up. But more important than that, there are some incentives in place. One of them just came out that Shackley has for the month of November for those who are going to the dream trip. But what we have is an incentive that says if you do this by the end of November, this month, and if you're new, you could do this by the end of November, totally doable. Find 3 people that will start as preferred members. And by the way, preferred members simply means that they place an order on AutoShip of at least $150. Doesn't have to stay on AutoShip, but when they place it, they need to put it on AutoShip. That's how they get the deal. And when they do that, at the time that they become a member, and by the way, they would get a free membership if it's a $150 order or more, right? They'll get not only a free membership, but they'll get free shipping. And they'll get free shipping moving forward because they'll be preferred members on every order that they place using the AutoShip feature. And as long as it's over $150. So that's kind of a cool thing. That's replacing the AutoShip discounts that we as distributors continue to get. So you get 3 people started as members, and you get 3 people or preferred members, and you get 3 people started as qualified distributors, which means they get the $50 distributor pack plus at least one of the success packs, preferably 2 or 3, so that they can really try some of the products. You could fill up all those circles. If somebody said to me, or asked me this question, what would be the simplest way of explaining how to be successful in Shackley? And I'd have to tell you that this is how, if you do these 3 things and you really do them right, you can only be successful in this business, because marketing is numbers and relationship. And if you're willing to use all the products, and when I say use all the products, it simply means if Shackley makes a product, then you're using it. If you're using a competitive product of Shackley to Shackley, then you're probably not going to see success because you're not committed enough to your own business to use your own products. That's going to come through, and it just never works. We've had people over the years try, and they'll use some of the products, and maybe 3 or 4 or even 5 or even 10. And they're great customers, and we love them for that. But they have to realize that they can't expect to be successful building a business with Shackley if they're not using their own product brand. They're using another brand instead. It just doesn't make sense. Now, I get it. Sometimes people say, well, I can't use the shampoo. There are 300 plus products. There's enough where people can use. We personally use over 60 products on a weekly basis. I counted them up. That's a lot of stuff. If you use 60 products on a regular basis from Shackley, you'll probably be successful in this business. You won't need that many people to get to director because you'll already have a chunk of that volume already covered by just your own purchases. So that's what it means when we talk about use the products. Doesn't mean try life plan, or it means over. First got started, it was very smart that the person who was at that time, my business leader in my upline, when I asked how to be successful, she said, take everything that you use in the area of personal care, household cleaning products, household products, that kind of thing, and nutritional products, and put them on your kitchen table. And then take them all and put them in a box and convert everything over to Shackley as fast as you can. I actually did that. I sold some junk that I had, which some antiques and things that were laying around. I took them to the antique store and sold them to them very cheap, but I figured I can always buy them back some other day when antiques can really be something that I need. I took the money and bought everything that I possibly could to replace all that stuff. I stopped using it cold turkey. I put it in a box and I gave it to my neighbor. And by the way, that neighbor got started on youth this month. She still orders, the couple, actually it's her and her husband, still order every month and have been since the day I originally started. And I'm talking about years ago. What's interesting is it's happened here too. You can see people typing that they did the same. I know Luann has a story. Luann? I know she's not expecting this.
Yes, Saul.
Your grocery cart story.
Well, probably many of you have heard it, but I was pretty new, but I do remember it was more like in maybe my third month, maybe 2.5 to 3 months. And I had kept hearing Zal say that the person who he was being mentored by, I think the person, not that brought him in, but his upline, he kept saying, well, what do I do? What do I do? And she would say, use more products. So that was going into me the first, month or so that I was working with Zal. And so that I was just like, use more products. That's how you build bigger and use more products. And so that I just, for some reason, it didn't completely hit me until one day I was in Walmart and I was buying personal care products and, toilet paper, paper goods, stuff like that. And I looked at my cart and I, saw these personal care items, and there's lotion and stuff like that. And I looked at my cart and I thought, what am I doing? I think I have all of this in my own store. And, I've seen that product guide. I need to really look at it and, why am I buying this stuff here when I should be buying it for myself? And it hit me so hard. I actually left my grocery cart, and I've never, ever done this before in my life. I just left all the stuff. I didn't even buy the stuff that I needed, like my paper goods, because it sickened me that, what was I doing? And so I left the cart, went home, took a look at everything, placed an order. And at that moment, I actually made a commitment, and I was totally convicted to it, that I would never, ever, ever buy anything that if Shackley makes it, I'm using it. And I never have. And I'll tell you, there's been many times when we've run out of something, or it's so close to running out of something, and I will overnight it rather than go and buy, some other brand, because I just won't do that to my business. It's absolutely sabotages your business, but it sabotages your thinking. It sort of like poisons you. If you are, if you are willing to go out and buy it, and not buy it from yourself, that just does not make sense to me. So that's my story.
I might just play the recording of that over and over again every time we do a meeting. Because that's great. That's perfect. That's it. And by the way, for those of you who are ever in Kentucky, if you go to the Walmart, you're going to see the cart still sitting there.
It might be. Well, fortunately, there was not any, I didn't have any food items, no refrigerated stuff. But I did kind of feel bad.
Well, there you go. And so that's what it means. Okay, guys. I know we say it over and over again, but it really is true, because we've seen people not do that. And, there's people that use some of the products. That's great, but they just don't have the success. In the long term, they don't stick with the business because they're not convicted in the philosophy of the products. So you invite people to take a look. That's the other thing we do. If we don't invite people to take a look at what we have, whether it's our opportunity or whether it's our philosophy and our product line, nothing's going to happen as far as growth, right? And then attend. This is important. Attend these events. This has to become ingrained, because you're around a lot of people every day that are not us. And those are people that are, many cases, are not promoting what we're doing, and they're not promoting the positive thought that you get when you're around Shaklee people. Matter of fact, sometimes it's pretty negative. So you want to plug in. And this is so important for me, even as to do these meetings and have people here, because you guys are the like-minded people that kind of remind me every day when things are not going the way that they should be. Or, I talk to somebody great who just drops off the face of the earth. I always remember that you're here too, doing the same thing. And, if you can do it, I can do it. And it kind of goes in a circle that way. There's a couple of things just to remind you that the blue bag through December 31st, along with the Radiant C&E purchase. So, this is a great deal to continue for people who are trying it for the first time. And if you're renewing an order of youth, you still get that bag again. Yeah, reinforces our belief. Thank you, Patricia. There's also these two promotions that are going on right now. You can get people started with these promotions if you're brand new. You can also go back to people and let them know about this if you're not brand new. It gives you an excuse to connect with your people, just to say hi. Because sometimes the way we build, we're just recruiting, and sometimes we don't spend the time to go back to the people that turned into consumers. Now, a lot of people got started in this business with our various teams, decided that they never really went forward and built, but they became great customers. So we want to make sure everybody knows about these deals. I always want to give a couple of weeks warning to something that's going to change, and that's the decision for 2018 it's going to change the way we do things here. I mean, you figure if you're coming to these events, most of you are business leaders, or they're the ones that show up, right? Some of you are going to be for sure because you're showing up. Well, why not be at least a director so you can get, paid the highest amount that you can get on the volume of your own business? And if that means doing whatever it takes to create a volume of at least 3,000 points PV a month, what's to stop you from making that decision? Anybody that makes the decision can do this. That's the crazy thing about this. There's no, you don't need to go get a degree anywhere. You don't need to know the right people. You just decide that you're going to be one of the people that's going to do it, because people are going to do it anyway. Why not you? I love that question that I asked Roger at that chairman's retreat last year, when I asked him, all the hundreds of, he says he's met 100,000 people in Shaklee. Maybe he has. I said, and everybody tells you they're going to do this, right? They're all saying, oh, Roger, I'm going to become a master coordinator or whatever. I said, what's the difference between the people that tell you to do it and the people that do it? Can you tell? He says, yeah, I can tell. It's the people that you can tell they decided, they made the decision. And, you hear it in their voice. People don't say, well, I'm going to really try to get to so-and-so. You don't say that. It's, I will be at. I will get too. It's a for sure thing. So we're going to start another Inner Circle training on Monday nights. We won't be doing team meetings on Monday nights. This will be what we'll be doing instead. But it's an accountability group for STAR team members only, because the only people that we're going to have involved in this are people that are financially tied together with us. In other words, the STAR team organization, all of the leaders have people that when those people build, it affects all of us. And that's important to understand that that's why we want to have everybody really as part of the STAR team family on this accountability group. And it's going to require business growth activities. It's not going to be something where people don't report or they can take a pass or whatever. We're going to require it. If you're going to be part of it, and I don't care if there's one person in it, that one person is going to really be committed to building this thing and convicted and decide that this is what they're going to do. You know, you can do it part-time, but you have to, when you're doing it part-time, have a full-time commitment on a part-time basis. The registration is now open. You can find it at mystarteam.net. Let me show you. You go to, and by the way, some people are going to have to clear their cache or their memory to get this to work right, because if you don't do that, it goes to the wrong page. You click on links we use, and then that pops up. And you'll see it says Inner Circle registration, and it also says Inner Circle resources, number 2 and number 3. If it says WIT registration, whatever it takes, then you have to clear your memory and redo this, because you're still remembering the old website. And you're going to go to a registration page that is not the registration page for this particular group. So if you click on Inner Circle registration and that's what it says, then you're going to go to the correct registration page. It's going to look like this. And it is an application. And the reason why it's an application is because you are going to be expected to make a commitment to do what it takes, which means everything we just talked about. Swap brands, use all the products, invite people to take a look, which means you're going to be making some phone calls, or if you don't use Create My Future, that's okay too. You can just talk to people, but you're going to be required to do something to build your business, which is why you're going to waste the time being here. No, you want it to pay off, right? So on Monday nights, you're going to be committed to basically checking in with the board of directors that's going to make sure that you're on track to build this thing the way you want to. So if you're thinking, well, it's just something fun, I'd like to come to it and be there, come to the Thursday night meetings, because we'll continue to do those. If you are willing to be accountable, not excuses, no excuses. You know, I'm going to build this thing, because that's what we're going to do. That's what's going to build this organization. And every one of the people here is going to see their organization explode when you have this kind of accountability and you take it seriously like a business. Okay, then I'm going to interview the people after they fill this out, and to make sure that they're willing to do whatever it takes. And that means coming to the 9 sessions. Obviously, we're going to be going through December into January and probably into February, or maybe not into February. I don't know. I haven't counted the weeks out yet, but it means a real commitment to do what it takes. Now, obviously, if it's a holiday on a Monday, then we'll skip that week. But that's the registration. It's open now. And the other thing I want to remind you is to continue to post your results in the Create My Future community Facebook page. I know many people here are doing it. Thank you for that. It reinforces our belief. I think Patricia said it perfectly. You know, new people getting started, I want them to, and we all want them to see that there are others that are doing this using the same tools, and it is working. And we want people to see that. Okay. 2 more events, Minneapolis this weekend, Philadelphia the weekend after, that are put on by the home office. If you are near those, that'd be a good thing to check out. Create My Future training is on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Plug in as much as you can, because that's how you learn to use the online system. And then onlineliveevent.com and liveevent.online are the 2 events that you can send people to for further information gathering if they're in that mood and you're in that mode. Star Team Live will be Thursday nights starting the 27th of starting the week of the 27th of November. So the first session will be, there will be only a Thursday, will be November 30th. Is that right? Yeah. All right. So I wanted to dig in for a few minutes and talk about the 5 success principles that you saw last Wednesday night on the Shackley Home Office call. And, you know, Jennifer Glacken showed you some slides, and she said the 5 success principles would be sponsoring new members and distributors, building your personal group volume, your own volume in your group, developing new leaders, people that are going to duplicate what you're doing, building depth along with building width and retention. That means keeping people. It's kind of neat because really those 5 things are what we do, right? You know, I talked about use the products, and Luann talked about, you know, using the products. That's building PGV. You got to become your best customer first. Invite people to take a look. That's called sponsoring. That's how that works. And attending the events. That attending the events is really the training to learn how to do all of this stuff right. Now, there's some numbers that Shackley kind of put out there. 100 conversations will get you 10 distributors, will get you 1 director. And, you know, if you were involved in the Facebook conversation in the Create My Future community, which is the closed Facebook group for Create My Future users, you probably saw that, you know, I questioned it and I said those 100 conversations are probably serious conversations, not like lead calls, but more calls with people that said, yes, I am really looking, and that went and looked, right? Otherwise, you could say, if I talk to 100 people at the grocery store in line, I should get a director out of it. I don't believe that that's true. So I kind of looked at those numbers and I said, well, what are my numbers? And I'll show you some stuff in a minute. Now, you might want to see it, you might not want to see it, but it's reality thinking. And I'm not one that likes to blue sky and tell everybody, oh yeah, this thing will happen on its own. It will happen. But if you know the real numbers of what it takes, you're going to have a much better chance of being successful than if you're just going to be guessing and throwing yourself kind of under the bus. These numbers that you're looking at are real. And I even got these from Roger Barnett in a conversation that I had with him over a 3.5-hour period, sitting in the sun at the Atlantis Resort, which ended up with him taking me to lunch along with Angel Torres and another person. And until the pilot had to come and drag him away to take him on his flight home. And they literally dragged him out because he didn't want to leave. But these numbers are the numbers that Shackley has found are pretty realistic. 5 people coming into your group every month will maintain your business. Now, think about that. If you're not sponsoring, or if people in your group are not sponsoring, and you're in your personal group, and if you don't have 5 new members and or distributors coming into your group, your business will start going down. All right, going to go in reverse because you do lose people along the way. So you need to have 5 or more to maintain your business. 10 or more will grow your business. It really will grow. And 15 or more will be massive growth. I'm telling you, you'll be really growing your business. You'll probably be recognized in the various categories of superstardom and Shackley. And if you bring in 20 plus people a month, you're going to see explosive growth. You'll be one of the top in the company. Don't be afraid of that, because the faster you do this, the sooner you can kick back if you want for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years and kind of maintain and have a nice residual income coming in for a long time. Okay? I'm serious. We've seen it happen. We've been involved in some of these explosive growth months on our team, and it has set us up for a lot of sustaining business. We have people that are not here that have an income coming in every month and haven't come to a meeting in a year. All right. There's a lot of people that are like that, because if you can have some explosive growth over a short period of time, a lot of momentum goes into effect. But here's kind of what I looked at. I said, for me to have 250 conversations with people, I got to make 1,000 dials. And here's what's interesting about that. 10 distributors will come out of 250 conversations. Those are my numbers. It's actually 1 out of 240. I mean, 10 out of 240, but I want to round it to 250. Okay. I don't think that lead calls get me much because it just gets, when I call a lead, what I'm doing is determining whether they're serious or not, which in most cases they say they're serious, and then having them go to the website. But only about 20%, maybe if even that, actually go and watch the little cartoon video after. So in other words, 10 people will tell me, yeah, I'm looking for something. And of those 10 people, 2 of them will actually go to the website and maybe look at it, maybe 3 sometimes. It just tells you that people aren't really serious. They're just kicking tires, and they aren't even willing to do the work of watching a 13-minute video. So we don't care about those people that aren't going to do it. We care about the ones that do it. Those are the conversations then that I want to have. And I probably, I can call, as you saw, if you come to any of the on-the-job training, sometimes I'll call 31 people and reach 4. Sometimes I'll call 31 people and reach 10. So it's different every time. But I can have about 250 conversations, which will get me about 10 distributors. And these are probably pretty close. I've rounded it a little bit. Of 10 distributors that get started, I'll usually get 1 director. Will they stick as a director if they do everything right? Yeah. And if they want it bad enough, this is something that they're committed to doing, perfect. And a director just means someone who's at the director position or above. Okay. And if you look at my numbers, these are probably pretty good numbers because we've had a lot of directors in our organization and not all of them stayed. That was their decision. Why didn't they stay? Maybe they didn't want to continue to build to the point where this thing really runs on kind of an autopilot. And there's plenty of people that have been in Shaklee for 30 and 40 and 50 years. They really don't do anything. Gary Burke says he hasn't recruited in 38 plus years. Think about that. With an income of $50,000 a month. Not bad once you set it up and do the work. So let's talk about those 250 conversations and what they convert to. If you do $100 a week using Create My Future, and I'm going to use Create My Future in this example, not necessarily warm market, lukewarm market, friends and family, or any of that. And the reason why is because the truth is you have better credibility with people that you know than you do with calling leads, right? Because you didn't know those people, and maybe you'll click with them, maybe not, right? But if $100 are made a week, that's 25 conversations. Typically, you're going to probably sponsor 1 member or distributor. That's my numbers, okay? Which is 4 per month. That's kind of, but you know what? If that's all you're doing and you're the only one doing it, you're almost maintaining. Now, if you're brand new, obviously this works differently because you're building your group. So it will definitely build your group at 4 a month. And Norma, this is everything. I don't count 1 conversation with 1 person. I might have 4 or 5 or 10 conversations with somebody. All right. I might have 5 conversations. I just count the conversations because I find that's the only way that, I can't do it any other way. It would be ridiculous for me to try to figure out how to track it. So follow-up conversations count. All right, but you'll be almost maintaining. Now, remember, your numbers may not be the same as mine. We've had people on our team that did better than this. We've had people on our team that their numbers were not as good as this. $200 a week will give you 50 conversations if you're like me, which will be 2 members or distributors a week, which will be 8 per month, which, by the way, go back to the numbers that Jennifer Glacken showed. You'll basically be between maintaining and having slow growth. So I want you to see the reality, guys. You will grow at the beginning, but if you look at your business and you say, man, we're stuck at 2,000 or we're stuck at 2,500 or we seem to do the same thing every month, look at the numbers of dials that you're making. That's the reality. Now, $300 a week, if that's your numbers, to convert to 75 conversations, if that's your numbers, which would be 3 people a week sponsored. By the way, I don't always sponsor these people the week that I'm doing the dials. It's weird how it works. Sometimes they'll call back later. I don't know if he's here, but one of our newest qualified distributors who was at the training, on the job training, I believe it was 5 or 6 months, 4 or 5 or 6 months later, they come back to you because they let them think about it, let it be right, let the timing be ready, let them save the money up, whatever it is. But that's 12 a month. And if you stay in that mode of doing $300 a week, now you're going to have growth. I mean, you kind of have growth. I mean, you could keep expanding this. $400 a week, you're going to be really growing because you're at 16 a month. Remember I said 15 a month is going to be really big growth? Well, that's what it's going to take. So when you hear stories like Carlos becoming a master coordinator in 5 months and making $225,000 in his first 9 months, understand something. Carlos was working 12-hour days, 6 days, and sometimes 7 days a week. But not only was Carlos working like 6 or 7 days a week at 12 hours a day, what do you think he was doing with those 12 hours? He was having tons of conversations. He told me when he gets in the car, he's on 3-way calls constantly. People are constantly calling him and setting up 3-ways. He's going them left and right, left and right. He's doing them using the car phone, the speaker thing. This is what you have to realize if you want to be one of those top superstars in Shaklee. It's real simple. You're having 100 conversations a week or more. And that's what people do. And they're sponsoring left and right. And maybe if you have a conversation with 20 people at once in a meeting, that would be 20 conversations, right? You get to do it all at once. So that could happen too. But these are people that are doing events, that are talking to people constantly. Danny Johnson, if you've ever listened to Danny Johnson's training, we used to do a lot of her training here on the team meetings and stuff, and our people went to them. She always talked about making $250,000 in her first year in network marketing. But she also will tell you, if you listen carefully, she was working 12 hours, at least 8 hours a day, 12-hour days also, on the phone the whole time. And she said Saturday too, 6 days a week. She was on the phone working at like a full-time job in a boiler room. Now, I'm not saying, is this going to be fun? You might look at it and say, why is he showing us this? I don't want to do that. No. Would you be willing to do that if you had the time to do it? Okay, if you guys, not everybody does. Some people have to work a full-time job and they're not going to be able to make $400. Just don't expect to have that kind of growth. Or you can do what I did, get to the point where you see the writing on the wall and you see it's going to work, and then you quit your full-time job so that you can put a little bit more into it. But I've never done $400 a week. I don't know how many weeks I could probably count on my 2 hands the number of times I did $250 a week. But we still had really good growth because we had momentum and we had training. You guys want to see massive growth though? I mean, we haven't seen massive growth in this team like we're talking about. The people that you see that become master coordinators like overnight, and presidential master coordinators, they're doing massive stuff. And that's what I want you to know. Now, you get to 2,000, you get to 3,000, and you get to 5,000. I think building personal group volume, if you use the products yourself, it's very easy for a family to use 500 to 1,000 a month in points on their own. Our family uses more than that. Between we buy a few products for our son, but in our family, we use a lot more than most people are going to believe that we use, because we use everything. And we are really into everything. We love the nutritional products. And when I met Ruth, she was spending a fortune in health food stores. So we were just taking that fortune and spending it in Shaklee because we know what all the supplements do. And neither of us are on any medications. And that sure is a nice thing. And at my age, it turns out that most people are on an average of 16 or 19 meds. I haven't been on any yet. 2,000 personal group volume is the first place you get to 3,000 as soon as you can, because you'll start earning trips. Like the first trip to the San Francisco Bay Area is when you run average of 3,000. And then 5,000 is going to cover everything, because it means you're really building. And I'll show you something here. Write down these formulas or get a calculator out and try to remember them. But I'm going to show you the the PV to dollar formula. We talked about what last week, how much in volume would make you how much money, right? The income formula. But I want to show you the PV to dollar. I did this based on youth. So most nutritional products and youth are going to come out with this formula. Here's how it works. 2,000 PV. What is that in real money of products being purchased? We'll just take 2,000, okay, and divide it by 76.8%. Or you can do it this way. You can do 2,000 and divide it by 0.768. You want to write that down because you can play around with these numbers afterwards or watch this again when the repeat video comes in the email. That would be $2,600 in actual product cost at the member price, right? Then 3,000 PV in member price cost is $3,900. Took the same formula. Take 3,000 divided by 0.768, and you're going to get $3,900. That's the dollar amount that will equate to 3,000 PV. And 5,000 PV is $6,500 in actual product cost at member price. Now, you guys remember we did a meeting. We talked about the dollar to income formula. So watch this. That's 37%. So here's how we figure it. If you take that $2,600, which is the actual cost of those products that people paid for them, you multiply that by 0.37, you get an income of $960. And that's assuming that you've done it all with people in your personal group buying products and not even necessarily having other people build, because when other people build, you're going to see the numbers jump in the PV. All right. Same thing. If $3,900 worth of products are purchased, which is 3,000 PV, you're going to earn $1,440 because I just took 3,900 and multiplied it by 0.37. I did the same thing at 5,000 in purchase volume points. That's $6,500 of products purchased. Multiply that by 0.37. And I rounded it a little bit so that it's not like 2,404 or something, but it's $2,400. So if you want to make $2,400, go out and create 5,000 in PV with 50 people using 100 a month each. This is where youth is amazing because the youth is $125 of almost 100 PV points a month because it's a 2-month supply. It's 192 PV. So you can divide that by 2 and it's almost 200, right? So it's almost 100 a month. So it's 50 people using youth and you'll make $2,400 a month income. As long as they keep using youth and it lasts 2 months, you'll be making $2,400 a month. Interesting, right? And again, I know I went through this maybe a little fast. For some of you, it might have been slow, but you can go back and watch the recording again. Those are the two formulas, okay? 76.8 is your PV to dollar ratio for nutritional, most nutritional, and youth. Your dollar to income formula is 37%. Again, that's based on most nutritional products and youth. Okay. Now, success practice number 3 is to develop leaders. And the way we do it is we're going to do it through training people, right? And what are we going to train people at our inner circle training? We're going to mostly talk about mindset, how we think, how we think, the goals that we set, where we're going with this thing, the way that we come across when we talk to people, because people are going to follow us and join our business and become leaders when they say, hey, these people know what they're talking about. I want to do what they're doing. That's how it's going to work. But in this example that Jennifer showed, she had 6 preferred members using youth, as you can see. You using your own products, finding 3 qualified distributors who get the youth anti-aging skincare and the core nutrition success pack. She just picked those 2 packs, and she said, "Okay, you'll make $977 if you do that." That's nice. There's a lot of different models you can use. The whole idea is you if you're going to build this thing, you're going to find people that want to do what we're doing, along with people that want to use the products. And you become a director. And you know, she talked about director, the only rank you need to learn. The reality is it's the only rank you need to learn how to do. Because after that, all you're doing is helping other people become directors. And how many people they decide to help become directors is what's going to determine their position, their rank, okay? But always go for 3,000 in volume. That's what you want to earn the bonus car and the trip to the home office. And PGV of 5,000 is what we call solid base. And you're going to want to, we talked about the rule of 5. You want to help others become directors, but you want to have 5 to 10. And I'll tell you, Shaklee says you could be a master coordinator with 6 first-generation directors. The reality is, I'm going to tell you to become a master coordinator, you want to have 10. That means you have to find 10 people that want to be a director and are willing to do what it takes. It means coming, plugging them into our class, whatever. And then when the next class starts, plugging them into that class. And then when those people start building, have them bring their people into the next class. And to the point where at one point we had 5 classes going at one time because people, the whole idea is to replicate. So you go out and you find people and you plug them into the class. Okay, the growth group. But once you have 10 first-generation directors, you will have depth because 1 out of 5 will become a runaway leg, which means they're just going to see this. They're going to take off. They might go faster than you. And this is kind of what it looks like. And as far as retention goes, I think retention is all about using the products. Not just using the products, but getting results. And I'm going to tell you that it's a big circle because some people will say, well, this isn't working for me. I'm not making the money. I'm not building this thing. And so they quit. But the real reason why they quit is because it wasn't working for them because they were doing something wrong. And usually they were not using all the products. That's the number one thing that I think makes it so they have no credibility when they talk to people because they're not using it themselves. They don't have all the answers of the products when someone says, well, do you guys have this kind of a thing? And they go, I don't know, I'll check. Let me tell you something. If you don't know what's in the catalog, you have no credibility talking to a prospect. And that's what happens to these people. And I know it. So the reason why people quit is because they don't have success. The reason why they don't have success is because they're not doing rule number 1 in almost all cases. Because if they were doing rule number 1, even if they didn't continue as a Shaklee director, they'd be a great consumer using all the products. And in most cases, they would stay as a director because using all the products gets them so excited about the products that they're going to can't help but having it rub off on other people. And Luann, if you want to pop in here, you're welcome to.
Okay, so what you just said is well, you cannot get results if you don't use the products. And so you not only use the products, but you're using the products so you do get the results. And that creates stories for you to be able to tell. And Zal, I remember, I mean, my very first major result was, my granddaughter being diagnosed with asthma, and she was in the hospital, 3 to 4 times a year, every single year. And just by switching products, the cleaning supplies in their home and in our home gave her a new life. She never had another attack after that. And so, we've done this, for so long, I guess you forget about, the initial results that you were getting, that you got, and the stories that you were able to tell. And that's, I think that's, in recruiting, it's valuable to have your own stories. You can use other people's stories also, but you've got to have your own. So you've got to create your own results with these products for you to really be a believer. And that's, that's when your business is going to grow.
Wow. We are going to have stories as part of our inner circle training. When you give a report, as those people who are going to be part of it are going to talk about a new product that they tried that week, and talk about the results that they got, and maybe even talk about the results they got of a product that they tried that they've been using for a month, whatever. So that we hear these stories, because these stories, what Luann's talking about, are critical to the success of our business, believe it or not. Now, ultimately, and thank you for that, Luann. Ultimately, bottom line, believe in yourself. If others have done this, and we know they have, why not you? Why you have to start looking at this why not me thing. Same products, same company, same compensation program, same Roger Barnett, same delivery system. We even all have Create My Future, right? Same Create My Future, same scripts, same emails. Hello? What's the difference? The difference is your belief. And your belief, what Luann said, is your conviction is going to come about because of your stories of what the products did with you because you got results. I think that's going to be a big part. And that's going to create people wanting to use the products themselves, if nothing else, which is going to get them excited about it because they're going to get results and this whole thing's going to snowball. That's it. And I thank you all for being here tonight. And I thank you so much, Luann. Even though I didn't warn you, you did, once again, jumped in beautifully and really, really, really made these points come home. So if this is you and you're ready, make the commitment. Make 2018 your year. And 2018, as far as I'm concerned, has already started. And our accountability and growth group starts on the 27th of November. See you guys next week. Have a wonderful weekend.